I think in general consumers would be much more appreciative of who they support if they had a deeper understanding of the value and the diversity of the native grasslands out there.
The way I look at it is we're stewarding an endangered ecosystem. We're trying to live on it, we're trying to incorporate a way of life on it, we're trying to maintain it and preserve it so that it is going to be there indefinitely.
It's really important for people to start engaging in this conversation now because we've reached a bit of a tipping point in our environment, and there needs to be an increased awareness of really the full picture of where our food comes from and how many systems and the degree of biodiversity that it affects. And consumers are really keen on starting to learn more about that, and they want that message and they want to participate in that. So it's a really prime opportunity for that connection between consumers and producers to be solidified and allow them to feel like they're both part of the same goal and the same project.
The native grasslands in Alberta, they're only about 14% of the province. But in terms of what's been converted by land use, if you look at forestry and energy and agriculture and transportation, no other region in the province has been converted to the same extent grasslands have. We've lost easily 3/4 of them, and they've been turned into cultivated crops, or in some cases intense prairie, cities, towns, transportation. So most of it's been lost, and with it we've lost a lot of the natural ecosystem components, the native plants, the native wildlife, and the waterways that used to define much of the prairie system.
The Conservation Caravan is an opportunity to travel through southern Alberta and get to meet some really dynamic ranchers who are starting to push the boundaries of conventional farming and conventional agriculture to really implement steps that are environmentally conscientious and really increase their practice as stewards of the land. What kind of relationship do you think there is between the cattle and the prairie that you're using? What kind of impact do they have on the wildlife, on the biodiversity that's present here?
I think that cattle are very important for the grasslands out here, and being the fact that they just eat grass throughout their life, we rotate them throughout the different system to make sure that they are utilizing the grass as best as possible, but also to promote more grass. By doing so, it is very good for the land here.
To me, being able to live in a place like this that is so endangered is very, very special, and being stewards to ensure the land is in better shape than when we took it on, that is really essential. And one of the things that's changed in the last 25 years with the way the grazing has changed is that we have increased the biodiversity on the ranch dramatically, so that we have most of the prairie species at risk live here. To me, it's really important to always remember where we are and how the smallest decision can impact the environment as a whole.
How does that differ from conventional farming in your relationship to the land and the way that you guys use the land to sort of maximize your production?
Conventionally, when you buy a piece of land or when you're looking at running a piece of land, you want to get the most out of that investment. So if I'm going to invest in a land base or rent a land base, I want to get the greatest return. For us, it's like we're looking at a long-term goal here, and it's not so much of getting the maximum returns, because if I wanted a maximum return, I would stock this land really, really heavy and graze it right down. Ideally, I want to maintain the integrity of the landscape, so long-term, I look at an ecologically sustainable stocking rate, and from there, it's like, okay, I'm not going to take as much as I can all the time. I'm going to look at taking what I need to profit and achieve my goals, which is, trying to maintain the security of the land base, and then from there, incorporate all the other factors, keeping some of the grass intact for wildlife, ensuring that you're not overgrazing, making sure that your range condition is always going on an inclining plane of excellent condition.
Cattle ranching is a spectrum, it's a continuum, and we have some ranchers that are what we might call extensive cow-calf operators. They're putting low densities of cattle across native rangelands, and they grow their cattle that way. And some of them, we don't even finish them. That's where we take the cattle towards the latter part of their lives and put them in a feedlot and feed them high-energy supplements or forage so they can finish, they can grow and gain weight quickly. Some of the ranchers, they don't do that. The cattle are out on extensive grasslands, they're eating grass, they're staying out there, and they're finishing most of their lives there. It can be a very organic way of producing meat.
The other thing for me that has been a value-added, as it turns out, component of our program is just the livestock handling, the humane handling, incorporating a handling system and a management system with our animals that acknowledges that these are live beings that deserve respect.
We try to think of the cow in most of what we do, try not to do it to the way we want to, but what's sort of best for her, which is funny to talk about when you're talking about something that's for food, but it just seems to work better that way.
How would you describe what you're doing here as different from intensive agriculture?
We all raise our beef with the natural protocols and identical same way. It's monitored by the government. There's been no antibiotics, no growth promotants. I didn't want that stuff on the land, and I didn't want it in my cattle.
With a lot of the things that have happened with BSC, with the E. coli issues, with, we're talking about antibiotic-resistant problems that could be coming along. More and more people are asking questions all the time. Where's your ranch at? How are your animals treated? What do you do for your environment? Is wildlife on your land? There are becoming more and more questions, and the consumer is demanding this. So really, we are just supporting what the consumer is asking for.
By buying our products, or other families who are creating similar products, our consumers can see what we're doing and how we're managing and stewarding this wild prairie, and they can be a part of it.
I think we need to be more focused on local foods in general for all types of food, and we need to build those businesses and support them as much as we can.
Well, I don't like the idea of all the chemicals and stuff that they add to the feed and even inject the cows with to make them bigger and fatten up. Yeah.
It does mean something that it's quality, that it's locally produced.
We all want that for ourselves, for our bodies, for each other, right?
This market is growing at about 15% a year. And our problem at the moment is we can't get enough beef raised with the same protocols. We're really scratching for membership, trying to find guys that will commit to this kind of a program.
What is it that prevents new, young farmers or existing farmers from joining you guys?
To get your cattle on that program, it takes at least 2 years. There is a financial slowing down of your cash flow. Many ranches have to service a debt, and that debt is a hindrance to getting the cash flow turning over. It takes about 2 years to really get it. And that's probably the biggest, getting it all swinging.
There's never been more opportunity developing for specialized products because everything has become mainstream and homogenous in the commodity system. And so simultaneously though, there's been this huge vacuum created for niche market specialty products that address some demand.
Our consumers are varied. We have consumers that are concerned about the environment that would purchase grass-fed beef. We have people that are really concerned about animal welfare and how the animals are treated. And then you have the people that are concerned about the health benefits.
My hope is that people see this film and take it as an opportunity to learn more, to connect with a rancher, to connect with other people in a conversation about options that they have as a consumer, and to really encourage them to start to seek out more information, more of a sense of engagement in the food that they're consuming, and recognizing and feeling empowered in their role in this whole system.
As members of families, we just need to care about what we eat. We need to know more than the color and the smell and the weight of a piece of food we buy. We need to find time to read up about the family or the ranch that grew that food. What are their practices? Are they sustainable, or are they drawing down on natural capital? We need to think about that food as nothing more than an expression of the landscape from which it came.
I would like to see more and more family farms start to develop their own programs.
Develop a relationship.
And develop a relationship, definitely, with the consumer.
So that consumers start to have more of an intimate relationship with where their food comes from.
Well, they can reconnect with where it is.
With their food, with the people raising their food, and with the land that their food is raised on.
It's a symbiotic relationship between consumer, the environment, the species at risk, etc. We're all part of the whole.
And I belong to the Church of the Long Grass in the parish of the Porcupine Hills. I've always seen this land as full holy. I guess I always will.